45 points. That's all I'm going to say. A rookie quarterback, a running back who hasn't been relevant in 2 years. How do we lose to this team? We're the Philadelphia Eagles. We were supposed to go to the Super Bowl this year. And next thing you know, we're 4-6. We can barely put up 20 points in this offense. This Chip Kelly up-tempo, fast-paced offense. We can barely put up 20 points. And for those of you saying, "Oh, Mark Sanchez is a better quarterback than Sam Bradford," you sure about that? 2 straight losses. Mark Sanchez essentially giving the Dolphins the win with a slice of pumpkin pie too while he's at it. And for those of you saying, "Oh, Sam Bradford's going to bring this team back," no, he's not. It's like asking if I want to get shot or stabbed in relation of whether I want Sam Bradford or Mark Sanchez starting. This team is dreadful. The defense is bad. The offense is bad. The coach is bad. Everything is bad. It's a lost season. I'm bringing in the host, Gaurav Aurora. Gaurav, how do you feel going into tomorrow's game?
I feel awful. I mean, this team allowed 283 rushing yards, Curran, against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 235 of those accounted by Doug Martin. As you said, a back who I would argue hasn't been relevant in the past 2 years in the NFL. He allowed 238 passing yards, and we allowed 5 passing touchdowns from Jameis Winston. This is a rookie-led Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. Are you kidding me? This is a team that we expected to be greater than 4-6. This is a team we had Super Bowl hopes from. From the preseason, it just went to hell, man. After the first game, we knew the season was going to be tougher than what we saw in the preseason. And shame on us, Eagles fans. We know the story. This has been written before. Expectations go way high through the roof, and we got blinded. The fact is, we got blinded in preseason from Sam Bradford's 10 for 10 performance in Green Bay. And guess what? It hurts. It hurts badly. And it's on the verge where Chip Kelly might not even be here next year. And we're going to talk more about that. And Curran, I mean, this is just a dreadful team. I mean, you're talking about the changes. Nick Foles ran the system better. Nick Foles isn't even the type of quarterback that should be running the system, but he was 14-4 under Chip Kelly. And guess what? Chip Kelly traded him. He traded LaShawn McCoy. He got rid of all these playmakers. And how does it look right now, Curran? We're sitting at 4-6.
It doesn't make sense. All these players, they look great on paper. It's the scheme. These players don't fit the scheme. What happened to our first round pick, Nelson Aguilar? Where has he been? 136 receiving yards. He's what is that first round pick? That's more like a seventh round pick that I want to see. Marcus Smith, 2014 first round pick, another bust. DeMarco Murray, what was it? 48 million guaranteed. Embarrassing. Ryan Matthews, our backup, has been a better fit. Sam Bradford struggled to stay healthy. Mark Sanchez back to his turnover prone self. This team cannot execute for its life.
Curran, the fact that Miles Austin has been more productive than Nelson Aguilar. Miles Austin shouldn't even be in the damn league. Are you kidding me with that shit? Miles Austin shouldn't even be on an NFL team, and we saw why against Miami. It was a perfectly thrown ball. It was a bad decision by Mark Sanchez, but Austin has to play defense on that play. He has to go up and make an effort, and that's what this team is lacking. They are lacking complete effort, okay? This team cannot put up any effort. They allowed 45 points. I'm back on it. They allowed 45 goddamn points to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a team you should not even allow over 20 points to. I mean, this is embarrassing. And the fact that this team just fell off the face of the earth this fast is absolutely outstanding. I mean, we were talking about against Dallas how this could be the momentum shifter, how the season could turn around just like that, but this problem goes to the foundation of this team. It goes to where it all started, and that's Chip Kelly and Jeffrey Lurie. Wouldn't you agree?
I completely agree. Chip Kelly has this absurd fascination about how culture wins games, how culture can lead teams to the Super Bowl. Wake up, Chip Kelly. It's the talent, it's the scheme, it's the coaching. It starts with you, and you are not the right fit for a professional NFL team. This is embarrassing. And Lurie, what are you doing? All you want to do is just make money off this team by torturing us fans. like sell the team, dude. You're not the right fit for the owner. You're not the right Philadelphia manager. Both of you need to leave. We need this team to get back on track next season. We have the talent. It's clearly there. Otherwise, how can we beat the Jets? How can we keep up with the Panthers on prime time?
Right now, it just feels like there's no hope, Curran.
I don't think there is any hope. This team, it can pull out a victory here and there, but it's just not the right team to compete in the playoffs this year. I think you're absolutely right. Lane Johnson, Byron Maxwell, DeMarco Murray, all these guys need to stop making excuses and do something about it. Wake up. This is a team game, not an individual game. You guys need to come together, find the chemistry that was there in the preseason, and do something with that. Build
All right,
upon that.
joining us now on the TheEaglesZone podcast, one of the top coaches going into college. His name is Dom Amoroso, and Dom is a very intelligent man when it comes to this type of stuff. We're going to be asking him how he feels the Philadelphia Eagles can turn this ship around, if they even can turn this around. He's going to talk to us about the struggles they've been dealing with on offense and this NFC East race. Dom, how you doing, man?
Fellas, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on the show.
All right, Dom. So you've seen the Philadelphia Eagles. Are they better than a 4-6 team?
Um, I'm not going to say it's what I expected, but considering, knowing the system the way I do and, the personnel offensively, I expected the offense to be like this. I didn't really expect 4-6. I thought they would have maybe been 5-5 or, 6-4, but I definitely didn't expect 4-6.
Yeah, Dom, and I guess the question on everyone's minds in Philadelphia, on the fans' mind, is that this offense was so good in 2013, Chip Kelly's first year. Last year, it actually broke out. It set a franchise record for points in the league for the Philadelphia organization. And now, Dom, it's like they can barely put up 20 a game. Is that because of the lack of talent, perhaps, on the offense?
I wouldn't say it's entirely the lack of talent. If you mind if I go into depth for a second here.
Yeah, sure.
Um, if you're a coach and you know Chip Kelly well, you know that Chip Kelly's a running game guy.
Hmm.
And with the offense Chip Kelly runs, it's a lot of zone running. It's a lot of isolation. It's a lot of inside outside zone. It's not a lot of power like we saw in the Andy Reid days power counter. It's a lot of zone running. And to have a strong zone running game like he did at Oregon, you have to have east and west runners like LaShawn McCoy, who was, the centerpiece of that offense for a while. And you also have to look at, you have to have at least a bit of a dual threat to be, Nick Foles wasn't entirely a dual threat quarterback, but, when he ran the football, he could get it done here and there. So I think, the biggest part where they went wrong, and I said this from day one, was signing DeMarco Murray, because DeMarco Murray played for Scott Linehan in Dallas in a man running scheme where it's a lot of power, a lot of counter, a lot of trap, where you're constantly, making contact within the box 10, 15 yards of the field. And he's not used to these outside runs where he's got to, hit fifth gear coming up hashes.
Yeah, Dom, and I think that was a very great explanation. But he brought in guys. You were talking about the East and West running like Shady McCoy, and it's like he's trying to bring in certain. It's what I feel. He's trying to bring in certain elements to that of maybe DeMarco Murray's running game. Where in Dallas he didn't have many of that. It was just more north and south. He had that great offensive line. In Philadelphia, of course, the offensive line's been having a lot of struggles, but do you think DeMarco Murray is a right type of person for Chip Kelly's system? And do you think maybe is it DeMarco Murray or Chip Kelly's scheme?
I think it's more so Chip Kelly scheme. You can have a productive zone running game with a north and south runner like DeMarco Murray, but not in that scheme. So
Hmm.
I think it's a little more Chip Kelly. But I mean, like you said, he had a better offensive line in Dallas. And frankly, it's harder for a guy like DeMarco Murray who may not be, what Shady McCoy was to adjust to an offense in year one.
Yeah, Dom. And we're talking to Dom Amoroso here.
And
And back in 2013, Chip Kelly had these playmakers, like obviously LaShawn McCoy. But if you want to talk about the passing game, he had Deshaun Jackson, he had Jeremy Maclin. And Deshaun, of course, we both know he's that type of person that could stretch the field. Even when he's not in a play, he could make the defenders or the corners look at him and make him as priority number one, where guys like Raleigh Cooper, he busted out in 2013. he could get open because these corners were taking so much impact on Deshaun Jackson just being out there. Now he doesn't have Deshaun or Jeremy Maclin, and you would argue his best wide receiver is Jordan Matthews. So, do you think that's a big part of what Chip Kelly needs? Or and do you think Jordan Matthews can possibly develop into one of those stars, or do you think they have to make some moves in the offseason coming up?
I think one of the two receivers is fit for the system. I'm one of my close contacts is Steve Greenwood, who's been the offensive
Hmm.
lineman coach at Oregon for 25 years. He's been through the Rich Brooks up now to Mark Helfrich, and worked with Chip Kelly very closely. And then a summer ago we met up at a clinic, and I was talking to him about the Eagles offense. And one of the things he said was it was the year they drafted Josh Huff,
Yeah.
and he said Josh Huff, when Chip was at Oregon, Josh Huff was who they would compare, who Deshaun Jackson is who they would compare Josh Huff to. So I think I'm a little surprised that Josh Huff hasn't had a bigger role in stretching the field, because 64% of the time is what the analytics show at Oregon. When they were stretching the field 30 yards out on deep passing concepts, it was the ball was going to Josh Huff. I think Jordan Matthews, I think a lot of people, a lot of receivers coaches, a lot of people that know the wide receiver position very well would expect Jordan Matthews to be in a kind of Jeremy Maclin role. But I think Jordan Matthews, he's got a lot of issues in his mechanics. So I think you're going to have to shop him in the offseason. And I think you're going to have to go shopping for, a replacement for him.
Yeah, definitely. And my next question before we get a little off topic here is that the Eagles they have an interesting schedule coming up. They play Detroit in Thanksgiving. They play New England in New England after that. Sam Bradford is expected to be back for that game. We don't know if he's going to be back against Detroit. Do you think Sam Bradford is could be fit for this offense in the long run, or do you think this is just a 1 year stop for Sam Bradford?
I think if first off, the offense, and if you look at my Twitter and you go to the same high school as me, I said this on the TV. The offense isn't what it was at Oregon. You're not having You're not going to have a Marcus Mariota type quarterback. Aside from playing fast, this offense really doesn't do anything any different than any NFL team does. Everyone's caught on with the zone read game. I think if it becomes more of a passing game offense, Sam Bradford will adapt. That's what he had under Kevin Sumlin when Kevin Sumlin was the offensive coordinator at Oklahoma. So I think if they mix a little more air raid, if they're throwing the ball down the field, and if Bradford stays healthy, he can adapt to the offense. But if the offense stays as is, which is looking right now, I think this is a 1 year stop for Sam Bradford.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Uh, Last question, Dom. You've been a great guest. How do you think the NFC East is going to shape up? Who do you think the winner would be, and who do you think is going to go in the playoffs?
The last time the NFC East looked like this, the last two times the NFC East has looked like this, the Giants won, and it was the years they won the Super Bowl. And I really like, what the Giants have going right now. I mean, I'm not going to count the Eagles out, but right now I got to pick the Giants just by the nature of their talent and their personnel. They were in the game with, I mean, they're New England's kryptonite. New England's always had trouble with them, and the Giants are really one of these teams you never know what they have. They aside from the Eli's and the Victor Cruzes and the Randalls and the Odell Beckhams, they have a strong running game. Their defense doesn't have a lot of star-studded talent, but their defense is very very aggressive. They're a very heavy blitz concept defense. So I mean, I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with defensively against their upcoming opponents and possibly in the postseason.
Yeah, Dom, and absolutely. When you give up 521 total yards to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I don't see how you can pick the Philadelphia Eagles to win any game this season of that matter. They're just too unpredictable, and that's why I'm not picking any games for
Oh
them.
yeah, absolutely. And you do have to, I'm a huge supporter of Jameis Winston. You have to give credit to the game he played Sunday, but the defense was just, off of the first couple drives, and that really set the momentum.
Uh-huh. All right. Well, thank you, Dom. Dom Amoroso's Twitter will be underneath if you want to follow him. Dom, it's a pleasure, and we're looking forward to having you again, brother.
Absolutely, fellas. It was a pleasure. It was a lot of fun.
All right.
Good luck the rest of the show.
Thank you, brother.